Hey everybody, Tim here for tonight's episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 3, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, which is the best Shakespearean performance I can give because it's based off of Shakespeare for the title. How do I talk about this episode? It's difficult. If you're wondering, right off the bat, I'll say I like it. I really, really enjoyed it. Little history about me to start with. I had originally gone to school or college or university for those not in America to be an English teacher, surprisingly. And then very early on, I was like, no, no, that's not for me. But one of the things that stuck with me as I have tried to continue with writing and stuff like that was the phrase that good writers borrow, but great writers steal. And this episode is definitely like the presentation of that. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was really, really good. It was well done. It was well thought out. And there were so many parts that, as a Star Trek fan, I recognized. Especially from like the first 4 Star Trek shows, which some might say were the best. Some might say Star Trek peaked in the 90s. And so, like, right off the bat, like I'll break down the episode, but the majority of the episode is very reminiscent of the original series, The City on the Edge of Tomorrow, which is one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek ever. And then we get a little bit of other stuff, like seeing Pila in the past is very much like Time's Arrow from The Next Generation. And seeing the Temporal Investigators is like Trial and Tribulations from Deep Space Nine. And just the whole, like, hey, we got to blend in, which is something not like unknown in Star Trek. We've seen it before, but it was very reminiscent of Future's End from Star Trek Voyager. And so like bam, 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 like all 4 of the first shows. And I'll kind of dig in deep as we keep going. But from the very beginning, where we see an attack from the past, and I was like, ooh, what's going on? And then it's Kirk. I was a little harsh probably for the other video not long ago, where I was like, this is Strange New Worlds. Why the fuck is Kirk in this show already? And guess what? We made it 3 episodes into the new season and he's back. And I was like, oh fuck, like Kirk's going to be in this show so much. I can already tell, and I'm not a fan of it. Like, he's good, the acting's good. I don't want Kirk. Like, this is not the Kirk show. And so I'm hoping he's more of a side character, but we'll see how it plays out. As soon as La'an goes back in time, or like goes to the alternate dimension, at first I thought it was going to be a mirror universe. And I was like, oh, where's Hemmer? But like we see the United Earth Fleet and Captain Spock and stuff like that. I was great. One of the things that did legitimately make me laugh was in our timeline, or the whatever main prime timeline, it's very well known that Kirk is born in Iowa. But this Kirk was born on the USS Iowa. And I was like, that's actually pretty fucking funny. Like, that's great. I really, really like that. Kirk being good at chess is a nice little shout out to the 3D chess that we see a lot in the original series. They make a great little reference where Kirk refers to La'an as Noonien Sung, which, as some of you might know, is from The Next Generation. That's Data's creator. And she immediately corrects him as Noonien Singh. Honestly, I never realized how close those names were together until like that scene. And I was like, oh shit, they really are. They're both Noonians. There's probably a marriage in there somewhere. The one scene where Kirk says something like, I'll drive more careful in the future. I was like, is that a time joke? Like that kind of made me laugh. I probably read way too much into it. I liked the Romulan bird of prey, which I gotta look around my ship's hanging above me. It's probably back there somewhere. But I like seeing the Romulan ship. That was great. Again, that was almost like, what is it, Voyage Home, with the really like shaky picture. Now, once we get into seeing Pila, there's a scene where they pull up into Pila's house in Vermont, which was great foreshadow. And I 100% did not pick up on it, where Pila's like talking about stuff, and it's during like La'an's introduction. And then to immediately like, hey, I know somebody in Vermont. I was like, oh, that was really good. Like that was well done. But they pull up to her place in a Vermont taxi, and I was like, oh, is that a reference to like Carol Kane being in the show Taxi? Like that was a little on the nose for me, but I was like, oh, whatever. Most people probably didn't even get it, so whatever. The part with Kirk finally being shot, and he's like, I wasn't bluffing. It was hard. It was rough, and this is where it's very much like the City on the Edge of Tomorrow, because if you haven't seen that, by the way, if you're watching this as like a new Star Trek fan and you have not seen the original series episode, The City on the Edge of Tomorrow, stop whatever you're doing and go watch it. It is one of the best, even if you don't like Star Trek, it is one of the best episodes ever made. But like as you're watching it, you know, because this Kirk is from a different timeline. He's never going to make it out alive. Ever. Like, you should have known that from the very beginning. I knew that from the very beginning. And so, like, him getting shot, and I was like, it's sad, but, like, yeah, that's about what I expected. I will be 100% honest. Maybe it's because I've been drinking. Maybe it's just great writing. I don't know. The world may never know. I did not pick up on Sarah being a fucking Romulan. Like, as soon as she started being, like, fucking kooky and, like, conspiracy theories, which, listen to Uncle Tim, don't let anybody who believes in conspiracy theories outdo you, okay? If they're like, man never went on the moon, one up them. Be like, oh, you believe in the fucking moon? That's fake. Never be outdone by a conspiracy theorist. But as soon as Sarah started being the weird person, I was like, okay, she's obviously more important than we think she is. But I didn't realize that they were going to go that far. And, like, she's actually a Romulan. Now, one of the big, I'm not going to say complaints, but one of the things that has been talked about, and this isn't for Star Trek, this is for any sci-fi show ever made. Have y'all seen, like, the original Lost in Space? Do you know when that takes place? 1998, okay? Which is when the movie came out. Like, the original series Space Seed, where it introduces Khan, talks about how Khan was launched into space with the augments in, like, the early 90s. And that's when the augment war happened. Now, obviously that didn't happen, and 1987 is when Next Generation came out. And they haven't really talked much about it. But this, as far as I know, maybe I could be wrong, this episode where Sarah's like, like this was supposed to happen in 92. I have been stuck here for 30 years. Like, where she's going on, like, that's actually a reference to, like, time has changed. And we're not in that the original series timeline anymore. And seeing Khan as a little boy, like, I don't think they actually say when this episode takes place, but, like, obviously everything has been kind of pushed up, and we'll even say this, let's say this is like 2032, because of, like, when this came out, it's obviously out 2022. But, like, that's still, like, 40 years, like, they have pushed the timeline. And so it's kind of interesting to me that they have accepted, like, hey, we predicted things, didn't know our show was going to go on this long, and they've kind of adapted around it. Seeing Khan as a child was a little bit heartbreaking, like, to kind of go into the whole Deadpool thing. It was like, hey, if you could find baby Hitler, would you kill baby Hitler? It's still a baby, but it's also Hitler. Like, that's Khan. Like, that is Khan Noonien Singh right there. It's like, do you kill him even though this is a child? But like he goes on to massacre millions of people. So it's like, I don't know, what do you do? Seeing the temporal investigation lady at the very end was, I kind of wish they had gotten the two original guys from Deep Space Nine. I don't even know if they're still alive. But it's still, that would have been fucking great to just have those two original actors to come back. But still, I thought it was a nice little shout out, nice little reference. And she does talk about the temporal wars, which is something we saw in Enterprise in I think it was like the last season or whatever. Overall, I did. I really, really liked it. I thought it was a great, heartbreaking episode about like, you can't always get what you want, but you always get what you need. That's a terrible song. I hate that song. I'm curious what you guys are thinking. I think this is one of the first episodes where it's on focused, and I really like seeing her. And even though it was an alternate Kirk, I still kind of enjoyed it. It was great. Curious what you guys are thinking. Let me know. I like to respond to you guys in the comments. I will see you guys next time for Among the Lotus Eaters.